Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nordic Pro Championships 2025 from Elmia-Wood Jönköping in Sweden. We have 9 athletes going to be competing today here. Let me check that count. Yeah, 9 athletes going to be competing here today. And one of them will receive a chance to compete at the World Championships in October. It's up for grabs, and there are a couple of favorites, of course, that could potentially be representing Sweden on their way to the World Championships, including Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan, Pontus Schier, and Kalle Schwadling. And yeah, this is an important contest here today as these athletes prepare to try and gain points for their world standing, but also points in order to be able to qualify for the World Championships. So shortly we will bring our athletes on to the stage, but before that we'll bring up our referee or our officials to keep control of the stage and make sure that everything is fair and equitable on stage. And there you see in your shots right now, Victor Klarmo. He is one of the 2 officials that will be on stage today, and just joining him in the tent there is Bart Janssen, who will be our head judge on stage and who will offer up all of the final results in our decision zone at the front of the stage. Today we will have 6 events going on. As we go through the events, we'll be eliminating athletes along the way until we reach the very final event, which is the hot saw, which is the loud and proud daddy of this event. And the athletes will be competing to find out who has the fastest underhand chop, stock saw, standing block, single block, springboard, and hot saw throughout the day, and who will be making it to that World Championships. But in the meantime, there is Victor Klarmo, judge, and Bart Janssen, who is our head judge on stage. These 2 will be taking care of duties up there to make sure that everything is fair and equitable. Now, coming up onto the stage, we're introducing each of our individual athletes. There is Adam Björns, then Peter Eriksson. Followed him is Kim Volke. Then from Norway we have, Ferry Swan's coming up now. And now coming up, Vibjorn Sonsteby from Norway. He's the only Norwegian athlete competing here today. Edvin Karlsson. Emil Hansson. Kalle Schwadling already out there, as well as Pontus Schier. These guys came up all crazy willy-nilly. But there you go, Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan there in the hat. Those 2 are probably the big favorites today to see who will move on to our World Championship. But there can always be an upset. You just never know. And that's the beauty of timber sports. Sometimes the axe dictates, sometimes the wood dictates, and sometimes the body dictates. All right, so let's take a look at the format of our competition here today. The STIHL Timbersports individual competition. In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete receives 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2.
only the top 6 reached the 3rd round. In the 3rd round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion.
All right, celebrating 40 years of STIHL Timbersports, that was our format. And now let's check out the tool and discipline for the underhand chop.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so as we have an uneven number of athletes competing today, our first heat will be an individual heat, and that's going to be Adam Björns on stage all by his lonesome for the underhand chop. And there you see at the bottom of the screen the season's best 21:31, and the world record for the underhand chop 11:18. And I should point out that that underhand chop world record is held by Braden Meyer from Australia. Here we go.
Ready.
First
Stand
discipline
to your timber.
first event.
3, 2, 1, go!
So Adam Björns wants to get into that block and chip it out as quickly as possible. Key to this is to be as accurate and quick as you can. Power is also very important, but accuracy plays a bigger role here, and that's a nice starting cut. A little bit close for the first hits, but now moving over to the other side should open up that second side a little bit more, and Adam looking very good here. Tough job to be out there on your own and start the competition as the sole practitioner on stage, let's say. Adam Björns. Time stops at 38:64. I do believe that they will adjust that time because the clock stopped a bit ahead of him actually splitting the log. And yes, in fact, they do. His official time, 40.39, and he clocks that as a personal best. So well done for Adam Björns. And our first score is in the books as our stage crew will come on and clean that space up. They'll put a new block in for the remaining heats to come. And our other guys are starting to come up onto stage already. Peter Eriksson and Kim Volke. And quick cleanup by our fantastic crews. We'll have a quick look back at this heat from Adam Björns. Nice big chips flying off of that block. Trying to see what axe head he's using there. It looks like it's a banana blade, which with this kind of wood pops the wood out a little bit nicer. Yeah, you can see it's really working well there. And I think what happened there is he did that one driver. It looked like it was wiggling. Our timer stopped the time. And then he did one final driver to really make sure that log was split. And that's where the official stop time was, and the reason why we had an adjusted time to 40:39. Okay, next heat up between Peter Eriksson and Kim Volke.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Peter Eriksson. He's got pace as well. Kim Volke going for those power drivers. Peter Eriksson deep on that first side, switching over to the other side now. Kim Volke, 2 drivers behind. Eriksson steps down off that block, gets back up before he sets the next driver in. Peter Eriksson looking at a quick pace there, got a little bit stuck, but continues to keep it going, gets stuck again. Kim Volke looks like he might be catching up on that second side. Who's going to get through here first? Will it be Eriksson or will it be Volke? It's coming close for both of them. Eriksson steps down. He steps down again. That's going to cause problems, but he gets through in 40.64, just ahead of Kim Volke, who's done it in 45.83. Those times will, of course, be adjusted once they are made official from our competition control center, where they have all the high-speed cameras and are looking at everything very, very closely. So we just saw Victor Klarmo give a thumbs up to Bart Janssen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
So we have official good cuts for both of them, and Peter Eriksson with a 40.64 sits in second place. Kim Volke with a 45.64 sitting in third place throughout the underhand chop so far. And you can see here, Peter Eriksson started off with pace. I mean, he was just going for quick cuts, very short swings, but getting in there as many times as possible. His balance was a little bit off there towards the end, and he stepped down a couple of times, but he had a nice, quick set of drivers, so that boded well for him. All right, coming up next, Vebjorn Sonsteby, who holds the national record for Norway at 22:31, going up against Edvin Karlsson, who recently graduated from the rookies, so he is new to competing with the men.
Okay.
Last year was his first year competing at the pro level.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Vebjorn Sonsteby, he's got plenty of experience and pedigree, and you can see he's got pace as well. Edvin Karlsson not messing around, but Vebjorn Sonsteby a good 4 or 5 drivers ahead of Edvin Karlsson as he switches to the other side. Edvin Karlsson joins him on the second side, but Vebjorn Sonsteby looking really good as he gets close to the edit. Oh my goodness, what a come from behind by Edvin Karlsson, a 22.65 PB for him, and Sonsteby at 27.75. Wow, I was not expecting that kind of second-hand speed from Edvin Karlsson, whose previous personal best was a 25.16, and he just blew 3 seconds off his time. What a fantastic result for Karlsson.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Wow, he's obviously been training and making sure he is fit for this competition. Very, very good job from Edvin Karlsson. So Edvin Karlsson thereby takes top spot in the underhand chop results. Vebjorn Sonsteby, no slouch, 27.76, sitting in second place right now, pushes the rest of the guys down. Let's watch this again here. Okay, strange replay right there. Here we go. So you can see both of them have really, really good pace. Not really much accuracy on the part of Edvin Karlsson here, but he doesn't care. He got over to that second side and just went to business on side 2. Very, very good job from Karlsson. All right, heat number 4, and it's buzzing right now. Kalle Swadling against Pontus Schie. A couple of guys that have been around the block. Both of them have very, very fast personal best. Pontus Schie slight advantage as the tail of the tape goes with 19.11 PB to Kalle Swadling's 21.33. But as you've just seen from Edvin Karlsson, who knows what's going to happen out there, and it seems like this wood is chopping quite well today, so we'll see how this all breaks down once these guys start actually hitting the wood. Good crowd today here as well. A lot of people have been funneling in throughout the day, you know, during our rookie competition, and then we had a really nice crowd there for the women, and now it's, I'd say, it's doubled in size for this men's pro competition as they do a quick cleanup on stage to make sure that we are ready to go for the next set of heats. Two more heats to go in heat 4 and heat 5. It's Kalle Swadling and Pontus Schie, and then the two of the favorites going up against each other head-to-head, Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan in that final heat of the day. All right. Got to appreciate the great job that this stage crew does, getting that whole thing turned around in no time flat so that it is ready for our next set of heats. So, left-hand side of your screen, Kalle Swadling. And on the right-hand side, Pontus Schie. As I said, both of these guys pedigreed timber sports athletes, so it's really about who's on point on the day.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start, and they are in sync with each other right now, going tick for tack. Pontus Schie starts to increase the pace a little bit, moves over to that second side. Kalle Swadling still on that first side. He now moves over about 6 drivers behind Pontus Schie, but as we saw with the heat with Edvin Karlsson, that doesn't really matter. It depends on who's quickest through that second side and get that block split, and it's in this case going to be Pontus Schie. Oh, will it be really though? 27.89 to a 27.36. And so far, it looks like Edvin Karlsson's got the pace to beat today with a 22.51. So let's see what the adjusted times say once they're made official here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both good to good.
Very, very close heat there. So 27.36 for Pontus Schie and a 27.89 for Kalle Swadling made official. And that puts Pontus in the second place just behind Edvin Karlsson, and Kalle Swadling in 4th place, just behind Vibjorn Sonsteby. Looking back here at the replay, they were literally in sync with each other until Pontus just started to up the pace a little bit, shorter chops, but a faster pace. And on that second side, it almost looked like Kalle Swadling split the log first, but in fact, the Competition Control Center confirmed it was Pontus Schie, and he just went back for one more driver to make sure. And it was a really, really close heat between these two veterans. All right, this is a heat that a lot of people have been looking forward to. These guys compete against each other quite regularly. They're friends, and they're also teammates on Team Sweden. But when they're on stage in this particular situation, knowing that a spot at the World Championships is up for grabs, there is no love lost. Neither one of them want to lose to the other guy. Oh, and the tension mounts as we wait for the prep whistle. And you can see the audience in the background. It's a collective breath hold there to see which of these two gentlemen will be faster. And above all, what kind of speed we're talking about here.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Keep an eye on Ferry Swan there on the left-hand side of your screen at this point as he takes his first 2 drivers, and then he starts to pick up the pace. Edvin Karlsson, wow, fast to the other side. He's a good 4, 5, 6 drivers ahead of Ferry Swan now on that second side. Ferry Swan got a bit of a sticky wicket there as he tries to get fast through that second side. He opted to go deeper on the first side, and it worked out in his favor. Ferry Swan with a 19.07 and Emil Hansen with a 23.71, but he's got a bit of a problem here as he had some wood stuck and he got a big split off of the block, and that meant they had to go back and stand on a razor's edge to get that final bit cut away. Question is he safe with the check here from Bart Janssen as they look now to see if he cut through that foothold, and it looks to me like he's okay, just that a split block.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both good to good.
All right, so Ferry Swan with a blistering fast pace, and After adjustment, it's 18-7-4 for Ferry. Edvin Karlsson drops down a notch to second place, and Emil Hansen, by virtue of a pretty good second side, not as fast as Ferry Swan, but at 27-21 gives him third place after the underhand chop is done. And that will be our current standings for the moment in the overall, with Ferry Swan leading this competition after the first discipline is done. Let's also not forget that these guys in these first three disciplines, the underhand chop, stock saw, and standing block chop, they want to be among the top 8 athletes to move on to the next round, because they definitely want to be in the next round to be able to move on to that hot saw. And you can see there that problem that Emil had, having to stand on literally a centimeter of wood in order to be able to cut through. So there you see the results of the underhand chop. It's official. And our top 3 guys, Ferry Swan, Edvin Karlsson, and Emil Hansson. All right, so our next discipline coming up is the stock saw. Let's take a look at that tool and discipline for stock saw.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark. 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Okay, so Adam Björns will be on stage by himself again for this one in heat number 1, and he'll have to contend with trying to put a good time down without anybody pressuring him from the other side of the stage. Then we see Kim Wolke, Edvin Karlsson, Ferry Swan, Peter Eriksson, Vebjörn Sundsteby, Pontus Schie, Emil Hansen, and Kalle Svadling, respectively, down the list, as we are waiting for our first pairing, and that would be a single in this case, like I mentioned. Adam Björns, whose personal best is 12.30. So you could probably hear in the background behind me, they are getting the stock saws prepared for our athletes. And basically what they're doing is they're just warming up the engines, warming up the blades, making sure that everything on the bar, the saw, and everything is working correctly, so that when they do start these saws on stage here, that there are no problems with the start and they get going right away and they can work fair and even for everybody. So as mentioned in the brief clip prior to this discipline, all of these saws are checked and maintained by STIHL technicians to make sure that they are operating the same and using the same parameters. And as it's in the name, stock is meaning that nothing can be changed about the motor, the bar, or the chain and the blades on the chain. So there can't be any adaptations to make the saw perform any better. The performance comes from the saw itself and the operator's skill with the saw. It's not about power here. It's about the accuracy, how quick you can move the saw into position, and how well you can read the saw's feelings, let's say.
Okay. Warm up your saw.
So key here, quick lift, line it up quickly and get that first cut through
Athletes
as
ready.
quickly as you can.
Stand
Here we go.
to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, a little bit of a tentative hover above that block as Adam got that first cut going. Let's watch the transition here. Nice solid transition, a bit of a thicker block, and he's got some angle going in towards that line. Could it be that he's cut over the line? We'll keep a close eye on that as he really had a hard angle on that second block, and it could be that he will be disqualified here. Hopefully not, because nobody likes to see that, and it looks like we do have a thumbs up from Bart, so let's get that confirmation here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut is good.
All right, so from the angle that I was looking at it, looked like he had a bit of a drive towards the line, but clearly it was okay. So let's watch this again. You can see there was just a brief hover above to make sure that he was in line for that cut down. Critical here is the transition to the upcut. You don't want to slide that thing over so that the bar is too far under and you're cutting a big fat cookie. He had a pretty fat cookie, but obviously it wasn't more than, you know, going over the line, which was good. Okay, next heat coming up, Kim Volke up against Edvin Karlsson. So Edvin started this competition off really nicely with a very fast underhand chop. Let's see if he can follow that up with a nice stock saw. Time to beat so far is from Adam Björns with a 15:07.
Du kannst besser hier sitzen, weil die Blase hier alles da im Container. Wir sitzen vor dem Container.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Kim Volke there in the all-yellow shirt, Edvin Karlsson on the other side of the stage in the mixed blue-yellow. Kim Volke a little bit of a tentative jump back and repositioning on the upcut. And Edvin Karlsson with a 14:13, not his fastest time, but that's enough to put him in the top spot right now. And Edvin Karlsson doing very well in his second full year as a pro. And like I said, graduated out of the rookie academy just a couple years ago and has been doing very, very well to mix it in with the pros.
Both cuts are good.
So Edvin Karlsson currently has the top spot and the fastest time after adjustments. I think we've got 14:13 is official. No, 14:16 is now official, and 14:84 for Kim Volke. So they are the top three at the moment. Edvin Karlsson, Kim Volke, and Adam Björns. Let's look back here. There's the initial cut from Edvin Karlsson. Nice thin cookie, not overly thin. Watch this from Kim Volke though. He had to readjust, so took a little bit of time away from him, and he also lost the tip of the bar a little bit into the block there, so that can also cause problems. You want to be a little bit closer to the block so you're using the entire bar to cut through. As now we move to stock saw heat number 3, and that's Ferry Svan going up against Peter Eriksson. Ferry Svan recently appeared on Dancing with the Stars, which we were teasing him about a little bit, but he took it in good stride. Peter Eriksson, personal best on stock saw is a blisteringly fast 9.79. That is a very good time. So if he can come anywhere close to that, he'll be right there among the top guys.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
So very fun, and another one of those excellent athletes that came out of the rookie program and all the training that happens with the rookies and the rookie competitions.
Athletes ready.
Stand to
Still
your
looking
timber.
for his first ever individual
3,
world
2,
championship.
1, go!
Ooh, very nice start from both of these guys. Eriksson and Swan both cutting nicely here. And Swan, oh, fantastic transition. Ferry's really close to that line, though. He's got to be real careful, but he's going to have a 13.74 to a 14.57 for Eriksson. Nice cuts. Looks like we're safe on lines as well here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both goods are good.
So it's official. Ferry Swan with a 13.72 takes over the top spot in stock saw. And Peter Eriksson actually slipped into third place there, pushing Kim Volke and Adam Björns down. It was a really, really nice start by both of them. And actually, Eriksson had the thinner of the two starting cookies. And beautiful transition by Ferry Swan to that upcut. But he had a monster of a cookie compared to what these guys are usually cutting there. And, yep, bit of an angle there by Eriksson, but it didn't seem to bother him too much. So these guys have good cuts. Two cookies on the deck, and we're moving on to heat number 4 with Björn Sonsteby going up against Pontus Schier. So Björn Sonsteby, personal best of 988. Pontus Schier, personal best for him of 914. Guys are pretty well matched up. Pontus Schier just has a ton of experience, so he's been around this sport, it seems like, forever. And we always see him in the mix and staying relevant in timber sports, and he just continues to impress
gentlemen,
with how well he stays busy with this industry. Norway is well known for their stock
Stand
sawyers,
to
so
your
we'll give them
timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, very nice start from Björn Sonsteby. He got in there quick, but Pontus Schier, he's got himself a nice transition, fast cuts by the looks of it, but Björn Sonsteby, wow, blisteringly fast. Fastest time of the day, in fact, I believe. Oh, but Pontus Schier just snuck in there. Holy smokes, folks. A 13.19 to a 13.41, I thought, for Björn Sonsteby was going to take that one, and it was just a couple tenths of a second difference between the two of them. Amazing.
Both goods are good.
So after adjustment, Björn Sonsteby with a 13.60, Pontus Schier with a 13.36. That's how close this is, and Pontus Schier takes the top spot in the stock saw. Beautiful start there from Björn Sonsteby, though. He was quick up, and that transition from, from Pontus Schier, it just doesn't get any better than that. Nice and thin, really easy, laid it over perfectly, and two cookies on the deck. Nicely done. Okay, so we have our final heat here in stock saw, heat number 5, with Emil Hansson going up against Kalle Swadling. Kind of say that Kalle Swadling is a specialist when it comes to the stock saw. And Emil Hansson's dad, Hans-Ove Hansson, is very often the training master for stock saw at the Rookie Academy. So you know that he's got plenty of help from him in this discipline.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, goodness. Kalle Swadling having a problem. He stalled that saw out when the chain hit, and that means Emil Hansen has a massive advantage here. Beautiful transition from Emil Hansen as he's getting up there, going to be close to 14. Oh, it's even better. It's 13-12. Kalle Swadling did a great job to come back from a stalled saw, or at least a stalled blade, and manages to get it in 16:34. Big fat second cookie and came close to the line on the bottom of the transition, so they'll have a quick look to make sure he didn't cut over the line, but it looks like he'll probably be okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both goods are good.
All right, it's official. Kalle Swadling not happy with that at all, though. And I think what happened, and maybe we'll see that in the replay, is he came up, he tagged the chain on the, let's see it here. Yep, he tagged the chain a little bit too hard, stalled the saw, had to restart, and that takes a good couple of 3 seconds to get everything moving again. Meanwhile, Emil Hansen just clean on that transition. The upcut was beautiful, and he was nice and quick, and he takes over the top spot in that stock saw with a 13:21. So we'll have a look at the official results here of stock saw with Emil Hansen and Pontus Schia in the top 2 spots, with Bjorn Sonsteby from Norway sitting in position number 3. Let's have a look at how that affects everything in the overall, with Ferry Swan sitting in 4th place there. And now we're looking at some point changes in the overall. Ferry Swan moves down into 2nd place. Emil Hansen moves up, Carlson moves down, and Sonsteby moves up. So some shifts happening here. And we have one more discipline in this first round before we remove a few athletes from contention, and that is the standing block. Now let's take a look at the discipline standing block and what we're expecting here.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
Okay, so as before in standing block, we're going to have Adam Björns starting things off and being all alone on stage. And then we'll see Peter Eriksson, Kim Wolke, Kalle Swadling, Edvin Karlsson, Bjorn Sonsteby, Pontus Schia, Emil Hansen, and Ferry Swan. World record for this discipline, 11:03. Unbelievably fast times. It's just incredible how quick the guys are chopping in the standing. So there you can see the crew getting that stage set up once again. Great job by them to make sure that everything is clean. It's very, very important, especially in this particular discipline, that that stage is tickety-boo. None of that sawdust or chips from previous events lying around those standing block stands, because as the athletes move around from one side of the stand to the other to start chopping on their second side, the last thing they need is to have their foot slip on a piece of errant wood that's lying on the ground. So the stage crew plays a very, very critical role, not only in getting the stage switched over quickly, but also making sure that the stage is in the safest possible conditions for the next athletes to come out there and compete. So Adam Björns, the poor guy, he's been on stage all by himself for all 3 of the starting events here today. He'll be looking to improve on that personal best of 1:23.46, which is very, very close to the cutoff time of 1:30. And you know that he's been working on it, and also making sure that he's doing what he needs to do in order to improve, coming out of the rookies just last year. So this is his first national competition in the pro level.
Okay. Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
There we go. Some nice chips flying off for Adam as he gets into that first side of the block. It's really about the angle and making sure you are accurate with your drivers. You can see right there, that just slipped off at a bit of a bad angle as it went up into the down cut portion of his block. Now he'll switch to the other side, leaving a fair amount of salad. That for me is a shortcut on the first side, but there might be method to his madness here. And this is a very difficult discipline because, you know, you need to be really accurate with your cuts. You need to have that power. And as you get into this a bit deeper, you start to get tired. You start to wear down. And that's when you get a bit lazy with the axe positioning. Maybe you cut straight in, the axe bounces out. Maybe your angle is a little bit off. And, you know, you don't have the kind of control you want to have over it, but this is looking pretty good as he should be getting through fairly soon here. Might even get a personal best out of this, but he needs to watch out. He's still got quite a bit of material left, and he's trying to power through that right now, and opts to go for a couple more ups and downs, and one more, two more should do it here for Adam. Yep, and he's got himself a personal best. He's above the minute mark by a stretch, but he's definitely faster than he was before, so his time of 1:18.50 will be an improvement, and he'll take a personal best any day of the week. And that is definitely a good sign for this young man who's just made it into the pros. Okay, wait, watch this here a little bit. So 2 up, 2 down, chipped out, nice. Unfortunately, we don't get a picture of that shot, but you can see the axe skip just slightly past the updrive side and into the upper part of his cut. And again, there you can see that skip happens. It's just a little bit too much angle, maybe a little bit of fatigue playing a role. And last driver pops that off the top, and his block is done. Okay, Peter Eriksson and Kim Volke now going up against each other. Tail of the tape gives the advantage to Kim Volke with a 38.02 fastest time, personal best, and a 55.80 for Peter Eriksson. You can see there putting a little bit of lube on the axe head there, on the face of the axe, just to prevent it from sticking on those first couple of drivers into the block. Because once you get the skin layer off the outside of the block, then it's a little bit easier to keep working through there. Although the axe will get stuck if your angle and your power don't play well with each other.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Peter Eriksson starting a very stand-up style. Kim Volke on the other side, pushing off that back leg a little bit more. Peter Eriksson, he is a long, rangy guy. Could use that range a little bit better. Meanwhile, Kim Volke off to the other side, aggressively attacking this block. His angles are a little bit flat as well, so his time will definitely improve with that power and that aggressiveness if he can improve on those angles and his accuracy. And Kim Volke coming close to it, I would say. Peter Eriksson close on his side as well. Yep, Kim Volke 45.39. Peter Eriksson could stand to make an improvement on his time here. A couple more drivers. Is he going to get it inside of 55? No, he will not. So no improvement on his time at all, as he is just trying to hammer that nail in, and he does it in 1:00.72. So the fastest time of the day so far is owned by Kim Volke at 45.31. And Victor Klarmo, our judge, gives a thumbs up to Bart Janssen to let him know that the cut is okay.
Gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, 2 heats in the book so far, and Adam Björns with a nice improvement on his time of 1:25, goes to 1:18, so he gets a personal best. Kim Wolke, not a personal best, but the fastest time of the day so far at a 45:31, and Peter Eriksson just behind him in a 1 minute and 68 tenths of a second. So, yeah, we're moving along here pretty well. So heat 3 coming up shortly, and that's going to be between Kalle Swadling and Edvin Karlsson. And there they are. Now, based on what I saw from Edvin Karlsson earlier on in the underhand chop, he seems to be pretty confident with the axe in hand now. He's always been good with the axe, but clearly he's been training quite a lot. So let's see if that translates into competition cutting. Our intrepid photographer Andy on stage there, making sure that he gets the good shots, but wanting to stay out of chip shot.
Ready.
Stand to your timber.
Kalle Swadling.
3, 2, 1,
Here we
go.
Kalle had a little bit of trouble with that stop saw earlier on, but gets right to business here with some really nice drivers on this standing block chop. Edvin Karlsson on the other side, moving over to the other side, about a half driver ahead of Kalle Swadling, but it's not that much. And between these two guys, it's anybody's game. Kalle Swadling's got power, and it looks like he's going to get there ahead of Edvin Karlsson. He does. 23:37, and Edvin Karlsson, a personal best at 25:97. Well done by Edvin Karlsson, moving him into second place in standing block, and Kalle Swadling takes over the top spot in the discipline. Very nice cut from Edvin Karlsson. I think he might have gone over to the other side a little bit too early, but that's okay. It worked for him, and he is in second right now in standing behind Kalle Swadling. So the first couple of drivers there from Kalle just chipping out nicely. You can see how accurate he is on those top cuts. A little bit of a skip right there, not dramatic. Very big power shots here from Edvin Karlsson, and that stuff is just flying. There was a straight cut in there. Maybe he was thinking about trying to get an early finish as our cameraman runs from the flying wood, and it was Kalle Swadling's block that was going to knock down that bowling pin of a cameraman. And there you can see Edvin Karlsson with one last mini driver just to try and get it off the top, and he did well. Next heat coming up, number 4, Vibjorn Sonsteby against Pontus Schie. Vibjorn holding the national record at 20.35 for this discipline. All right, it's going to take a few minutes to clear off all of that wood from the deck and put the new stands in place. And a lot of people often ask us, what's the story with all that wood that you're chopping and cutting and everything? Isn't it a bit wasteful? Well, no, it's not, because we use good wood management, and we'd like to display and illustrate that a little bit with our sustainable wood clip. Check it out.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture,
The ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
All right, how quick are those guys on stage, getting those stands ready to go for the next set of heats. 2 more heats to go, heats 4 and 5, Vibjorn Sonsteby and Pontus Schia in heat 4, and heat 5, Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan head-to-head once again.
Ja, nu är de lite gå här. Då blir det nästa hit. Hit nummer 4, Vibjörn Sonsteby och Pontus Schia.
All right, there we have Vibjorn Sonsteby getting ready. As I said, he holds the national record for Norway for the pro men. Pontus Schia, personal best for him on standing block, a blistering 17.62. Season's best so far is 20.47. So that's definitely something to aim for these guys.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice pace here as well. And they are on sync, or in sync with each other as they drive into those blocks. Moving over to the second side, how well matched are these two guys? Pontus Schia on the right-hand side, Vibjorn Sonsteby on the left-hand side, hammering away. Are we going to have the fastest time of the day so far? Ew, yes we are. Vibjorn Sonsteby with a 22.19. Nicely done. And Pontus Schia with a fantastic 24.58, slips into 3rd place there. We'll take a quick look at the official results shortly, but Vibjorn Sonsteby made short work of that block.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guns are good.
So official times locked in now, 22.06 for Vibjorn Sonsteby and Pontus Schia with a 24.55. Let's look back here. Now at the start, these guys were in sync with each other. Man, every driver at the exact same time. And then Vibjorn Sonsteby just started to open up the pace a little bit more on the second side. Maybe got 1 sticky axe in there. And he was not having this block being a one-piece block very long, as he took it out in 22.06. That's the fastest time so far today, and the time to beat for our final heat in this first round. And that is heat number 5 with Emil Hansen and Ferry Swan. Look at those times for these two guys. I mean, could you share a potato any closer? It's been the last few years where it's been one or the other representing Sweden in the World Championships. The question is, will it be one of these two guys this year, or will it be somebody new?
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Keep an eye on Ferry Swan. He likes to go fast, and Emil Hansen, no slouch either, as he gets in there with some serious power. He shifts to the other side, about 1.5, 2 drivers ahead of Ferry Swan and Emil Hansen. He is also an angry man taking it out on that block. Looks like Ferry Swan's left some material behind, and Emil Hansen hasn't left any doubt that he wants to be on stage at the Worlds. 19.72 for Emil Hansen. That's the fastest time of the day. Ferry Swan with a 22.94, 3.22 seconds off pace from Emil Hansen. And that puts Ferry Swan in 3rd place at the moment. And Emil Hansen at the top of the rankings, right ahead of Ferry Swan. And folks, there you go. Emil Hansen also has reached a season's best, taking out the previous 20 and change, and is now 1947. Obviously, both of these guys have been training hard to make sure they're on point. Emil Hansen just a hair ahead today. see the adjustments, the micro adjustments that are made by these guys as they're cutting away there. I felt like Emil left a little bit too much material on that first side, but it worked for him, so no complaints here. So, standing block chop. Emil Hansen, top of the block there, literally. Vebjorn Sonseby in second place. Ferry Swan in third. Kalle Swadling fourth. Pontus Schie in fifth. Let's see how that affects the overall standings here as we look now to the round one results and who will be moving on to the second round, which will be the single buck and springboard. So that means we will be losing Adam Björns from the competition, and that means the remaining 8 will move on to the second round, and that will be the single buck and springboard. Single buck coming up next. So speaking of the misery whip or the single buck, let's take a look at the tool and discipline of our next round starter.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, there's our heat lineup, and we reduced our overall number of athletes, only by 1 in this case, but we still have 8 athletes remaining in the competition. Kim Wolke and Peter Eriksson will be battling against each other in this first heat. Then we'll see Kalle Swadling and Pontus Schie, Edvin Karlsson and Vebjorn Sonseby, and then Ferry Swan and Emil Hansson. There are a couple of specialists in this crew of 8 when we're speaking about the single buck. Kalle Swadling is one of them. He's very good in that discipline, as well as Ferry Swan. But you can never count out Emil Hansson, and I'm very curious to know how Edvin Karlsson does here as well. So last-minute adjustments on the big 46-centimeter blocks that are being set into the stands on stage. They're very heavy, and they have to be set properly in the stands so that they are parallel to the stage as well. They can't be angled at all, and this is what the guys are dealing with right now on that left-hand block that you're seeing there. They want to make sure that it's in position correctly and that they have with their scale, or they've checked it with a level on the top to make sure that it is in properly and correctly and will be held. That's the other thing too. They've got these screws that go into the back, or rather bolts that go into the back to make sure that it stays in position. Last thing you want to have is that whole block coming out when your very expensive single buck saw is stuck in there and you're in the middle of your discipline. So this is what's happening right now on stage, making sure that everything is in position and correct for the next discipline, the single saw. Ferry Swan once said to me that he refers to the single saw as the misery whip. I don't know if that was a name that he gave it or if it just came from another athlete at another time, but he says it's very appropriate, especially when that saw stops halfway through a cut and you end up having to restart that thing. It's basically wrestling a bear. Yeah, it makes no fun. So it looks like we are pretty close to being ready here. And it looks like Bart Janssen is calling for a cut to make sure that those hammer marks are removed and it doesn't cause any issue with binding on the saws as they cut into the wood, which is very important for fairness to the athletes. All right, so here we go with our next heat, single buck heat number 1, Kim Wolke going up against Peter Eriksson. Peter Eriksson competing as an intermediate in 23, joined the pro level in 24, and has continued to grow as a timber sports athlete. So we'll be looking forward to seeing him improve as time goes on. World record for this discipline, by the way, in the single buck without assistance is Ben Cumberland, who got the world record at the Canadian Pro Championships 2023 with a time of 10.47 seconds. That is blisteringly fast. The season record, or season's best, is a 16:55, so that is the best result so far in this season of 2025, and that's also a nice fast time. Now, we've seen some fairly solid times from these athletes in the past, some better, some worse than the 16:55. The question is, will anybody be able to reach that today? Let's see, as we're just waiting for our athletes to come on stage. Now, as I said off the start of the show, we are looking for the qualified athlete from this event to go to the World Championship. Let's take a look at what the World Championship can really look like as we look forward to Milan, Italy this year. Last year we did the trophy just outside the Allianz Cloud in Milan, Italy. Fantastic location, and really looking forward to being inside that venue this year in October and seeing how the world's best compete there in Italy with all the distractions of food and wine. Oh yes, it is going to be a good time once again. And the question needs to be asked, will anybody be able to dethrone Team Australia, the Chopperoos, who have been dominant in the team competition the last few years? The individual competitors changed. It's gone around the block a few times, but the team has been pretty much consistently Team Australia for the last few years, and yeah, they need a dethroning. I'm just putting that out there. So we're just talking about the World Championship. That's at the end of our season on the 24th and 25th of October in Milan, Italy. And of course, we'd love you to all be there live. But if you can't, you can check out our live stream. Other live streams that are coming up in the next little while. We're currently in the middle of the Nordic Pro Championship. The 14th of June, the British Pro Championship for both men and women will be broadcast live from Malvern in just outside of Birmingham, England. Then on the 26th and the 27th of July, we have the U.S. competitions for Women's Pro and Men's Pro. Then the 3rd of August, the French Pro in Sarrebourg, France. 16th and 17th of August, the Benelux Pro Championships and the European Trophy. And on the 30th, we have the German, Austrian, and Swiss Pro Final in Wildhaus, Switzerland. The 13th of September, the Australians are busy getting themselves ready with their Pro Championship. And then it all culminates on the 24th and 25th of October for the Team Worlds and the Individual Worlds in Milan, Italy. And you can check out a full schedule at data.stihl-timbersports.com. It's a mouthful, but it's worth it, because there you can see all the pertinent information and the stuff you want to find out about events, about results, about records, and of course about the athletes themselves. So what's happening right now is our crew is preparing the tree stands for the Springboard. And basically what that does is it speeds up the whole process of transitioning the stands from where they are right now off stage to on stage, so that they can be done quicker, because this is one of the things that does take a little bit longer period of time. And so it's nice that they're getting them ready to go right now under the direct supervision of Bart Janssen there with his camera in hand. Also, if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see our hashtag there, STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, and my favorite hashtag is hashtag KissMyAxe. So if you want to get involved in the conversation, go to those hashtags and check things out. So a little bit of cloud cover rolling in here. We've got a little bit of wind. It's making it a little bit chilly. Shouldn't affect the performance of the athletes at all on stage. They'll be keeping themselves warm with the hard work they're doing up there. But the delay that we're dealing with right now is just making sure that these tree stands are prepared for when we do get through the single buck, which will go fairly quickly, I'm going to say, and head towards the springboard, which is one of the most difficult disciplines, not only to prepare, but also to become proficient in, because of all of the different skills that you need. But we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to it. Now, we've already seen the tool and discipline for the single buck, and I had the privilege of messing around with 2 different types of saws on the single buck a while back. there's the M cut, and then there's the saws that you see the athletes using here today, which are precision cut racing single buck saws, and they are just absolutely fantastic. But I'll tell you what, if you get that thing going and you can keep it going, it cuts like a dream. But if it stops midway, that's the reason why they call it the misery whip, because it is miserable to restart it. And sometimes if your angle is only off by a half a centimeter, it makes a huge difference in how the saw reacts in that block. So lots of factors at play here, especially with the way that these saws move through the wood. And it's really about a dance with this 2-meter long piece of dangerous metal in your hand and to keep that flow going. So rhythm and flow is what it's all about here for the single saw. So while we wait, I'm just watching the guys go from their paddocks back here, carrying their 2-meter long saws over to the stage area to get ready. And if you've never been to a World Championships, I can tell you one thing: the atmosphere is like nothing else in the world. And we do invite you to try and join us in Milan, Italy for the World Championships, because it is something else. Check it out.
It comes down to Mitch Argent and Shane Jordan battling hard on the standing block. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Australia or New Zealand? Oh my God, how close is this? And it's Australia!
The atmosphere last night in the team's relay was unreal.
That is their title of Team World Champion 2 years in a row.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the noisiest crowd I've competed against.
Shane Jordan's already over there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
The crowds here, they were just erupting.
You feel the energy of the crowd.
My goodness, what a great comeback from Belgium with a time of 1.
The crowd was absolutely electric.
And it was so much noise and support.
Ja, doch, das pusht schon rum und mein Fanclub ist auch da.
Very passionate about their country and, yeah, their competitors.
Yeah, it feels super.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
But he's not giving up. He's looking good.
Like such an adrenaline rush. It's an amazing feeling.
They make a lot of noise, and that's good for our spirit.
Is it going to be the Czech Republic? And the crowd goes bananas.
It's absolut extrem hier. Man hört's.
All right, as I mentioned, the atmosphere at a STIHL Timbersports World Championship is like none other. An unbelievable experience. Okay, so that being said, we still need to get the atmosphere back up to flowing here as we get our single sawyers ready on stage, and it's going to be Kim Volke up against Peter Eriksson. Peter, a very long, lanky fella, so he has the advantage of being able to step back from that block and really use the length of that saw. Kim Volke, also not a small guy, so could be an interesting heat. Both of them have similar angles at the start. Let's go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Peter Eriksson struggling a little bit off the stop with the saw actually stopping numerous times in his cut. Kim Volke had good flow up until a second ago there, and it stopped again. He hopped it back into the roll, and he's got it moving again, keeping that flow going. And Kim Volke, oh, he gets stuck again. He's got to be careful as he gets to the bottom of this cut, but he's got himself a personal best, 24.53. And Peter Eriksson still having some problems changing that angle a little bit too much as he fights that down cut, and he gets another one A final push through at 35.30 and a personal best for Peter Eriksson as well, as these guys both entering the competition nicely.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
Okay, so 2 personal bests off the start of the competition. Like to see that. And it seems like the wood is cutting well today. Kim Volke here on stand 1 or stand A. Really nice start for him, using the entire length of the saw, going tip to knuckles. Here you can see Peter Eriksson struggling a little bit. Changed the angle of the saw a couple of times, and you know, you get to see why they call it a misery whip. When it blocks up and the saw bends, it doesn't cut through, because it's a flexible saw, and it's the whole design idea behind this saw is to be flexible. But if you don't utilize that flexible saw in a proper way, you get that situation right there. And that's why they call it the misery whip. Okay. Key number 2, Kalle Svadling going up against Pontus Schie. So a couple of guys with pedigree for sure, and a couple of guys that can definitely do some damage to time here. Kalle Svadling a little bit faster with the tail of the tape. As I mentioned earlier, a bit of a single saw specialist. Very often they're single sawyer in team competitions. See how precise these guys are about making sure their position is absolutely correct. It's so practiced and so measured.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start from Kalle Svadling there. You can see 2 different styles. Pontus Schie a little bit more down angle. Kalle Svadling a little bit flatter. Pontus Schie is the taller of the 2 men. But Kalle Svadling, a blisteringly fast time of 13.94. He takes over the top spot with an amazing run. And that should be a season's best, absolutely obliterating the 16.55 previous. Pontus Schie, no slouch there either, a 15.46. So both of these guys faster than the season's best so far. And that should change shortly. Haven't seen it graphically yet, but man, what a great run from Kalle Svadling.
Both girls are good.
Let's look at this again. You can see here, Kalle Svadling really using the entire length of that saw, breathing through each run. Tip gone, there, tip gone, up to the knuckles, tip gone, up to the knuckles. Just a super efficient cut, and that's why he is such a specialist in this discipline. So efficient and such a quick run there. Okay, Vibjorn Sonsteby here up against Edvin Karlsson. And Vibjorn Sonsteby holding the national record for Norway at 12.58. Wow, that is a great time. Will he be able to pull that time off today? The way the wood's been cutting, who knows? And the way that Edvin Karlsson's been improving from event to event, I imagine that he will have a good time here today as well. All right, last minute preparations for these 2 guys. Looking forward to seeing how Edvin Karlsson does here against Vibjorn Sonsteby.
Stand to your timber.
Both of them very
3,
flat positions.
2, 1, go!
Really nice start from both guys. You could see Edvin Karlsson staying in that flat position, staying nice and low. Vibjorn Sonsteby, ooh, a big hookup for him. And that gave a bit of an advantage to Edvin Karlsson, but Karlsson got hooked up as well, and Sonsteby's through in 14.23. Carlson 18:29. So that puts Carlson in 4th place and Sundsteby in 2nd. Kalle Svadling still with the fastest cut of the day at 13:72. And I did tell you the single bucks would happen quickly here. We are almost through with one more heat to go in the single buck. Then we're going to move on to the springboard.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both goods are good.
So there we go. Bjorn Sundsteby there looking very good. You can see how efficient his cut is. You can also see why he holds the national record for Norway. Edvin Karlsson improving from event to event. Small hiccup at the bottom of this cut, but nothing too dramatic. And he had a nice, right there, a little hookup, but then he finished it off in a fairly solid time. Currently in 4th place in the single bucks. And our last heat in single is heat number 4 with Ferry Svan and Emil Hansen. Look at the times for these guys. Ferry holding the national record 11:07. And Emil Hansen with an 11:32 personal best. And the world record is a 10:47. So let's be honest, neither of these two guys is very far off being able to put a world record in the books. Could it happen today? Possibly. Anything can happen.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Ferry Svan is absolutely a specialist in this discipline. You can see he doesn't bother using the entire length of the saw, but he just goes for pace. That's all. It's all about pace. Oh my goodness, 11:97 and a 12:59. 2 fastest times of the day. That puts Ferry Svan right ahead of Emil Hansen at the top of the single buck results. Kalle Svadling gets shoveled down to 3rd place with Pontus Schia and Vibjorn Sundsteby riding out 4 and 5 in this position. Wow. I mean, imagine what happens if Ferry Svan runs at that speed and uses the entire length of the saw. Oh, we have a flag on the play. Ferry Svan is under review. Could it be that he jumped the start? Let's find out. That would be a devastating DQ if that is actually the case. So we're just waiting on the competition control center to confirm the situation with Ferry Svan here. So Victor Klarmo heads over to the sides to confer, I guess, with Bart Janssen, who has gone to the control center to double check everything. And now tension is rising because this could put a real dent in the hopes of Ferry Svan making it to the World Championships. We'll see. And there's our yellow flag on the play, being trod on by our commentator and anybody else who has a chance to step on the dreaded yellow flag.
med det de håller på med, för då är det någonting som är farligt eller fel. Va? Så där, då testar de in den. Men det betyder inte att, att man har gjort något fel som atlet, utan det kan vara att det är någonting som är löst någonstans eller någonting annat. Får man den här lilla gula påsen så lägger man av direkt. Men ja, det måste vara nära.
So they are really looking closely at this situation with Ferry Swan. And the only thing that I can think of is that they're checking back to the start of the time, which has to be minuscule. Because there's no other way that I saw that he could be DQ'd. The disc didn't break off. He didn't have a tab left over and anything. So there has to be something minor. Let's see.
Both athletes. Unfortunately, we have a DQ for Ferry Swan to jump the gun. However, stand 2 is good.
Oh my goodness, it must have been such a quick and minuscule difference to jumping the gun. Ferry Swan never makes those kinds of mistakes. Unbelievable. Let's see if we have review. We do not, we just have the slow-mos here. You can see Emil Hansen just working that saw through tip to tail, doing a really good job, very efficient. You can see the speed here of Ferry Swan, not bothering with using the entire length of the saw. I mean, he paid for the whole thing, but he's only using half of it, so, you know, whatever floats his boat. But unfortunately, it's a DQ for Ferry Swan, so no points in a critical situation here where there's very big points to be had. 16, in fact, could have gone Ferry Swan's way, and he walks away with none. All right, so single buck is done. Let's take a look how this changes the overall standings with Emil Hansen taking a solid 16 points away here. That means he should move well and truly into the lead here. And Ferry Swan drops down to 6th place. Oh my goodness. So that means that Ferry Swan is currently on the bubble with the springboard still to come. And that means he has to have a spectacular springboard to not be eliminated from the last round, the hot saw round. Emil Hansen solidly in the top position with 50 points. Bjorn Sonsteby is in 2nd place with 39. Pontus Schia in 3rd place with 38. And Kalle Svadling in 4th place with 36. Edvin Karlsson actually dropped down into 5th place with 34 points. So among those next guys, it's very, very, very close. But a surprising drop down for Ferry Swan with 31 points. So he is a good 19 points behind Emil Hansen, so he's got to be solid in the springboard, right, boys? He's got to be solid in the springboard. All right, so that is the next discipline that's coming up. The lineups will look like this. Heat 1, Kim Volke, Peter Eriksson. Heat 2, Kalle Svadling, Pontus Schia. Heat 3, Edvin Karlsson, Bjorn Sonsteby. And Heat 4, Ferry Swan. Once again, going up against Emil Swanson. Maybe we can have a look at the springboard discipline next.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
All right, so there you see the springboard discipline. As I mentioned earlier on, it is the cat of disciplines. It's finicky. You have to be absolutely on point with your axe, and you have to be on point with your balance and your power and your targeting. There's so many factors that play such a critical role here in this discipline, and safety among all is, or above all, I should say, is the major balancing factor here, because when you're 2 meters off the ground, standing on a shaky board, hammering a block that's way up high, the last thing you want to have happen is your board slip out. So this is why you have to be so good in so many different aspects for the springboard. We'll take some time and let these guys set up, and we'll get to the competition shortly. It's going to be an interesting one, and especially for Ferry Swan, which is going to be a deciding factor for him because he's very good in springboard, but he has to be extra good in springboard today because of the drop in his positions and having to be on the bubble at the moment, because we're only taking 6 athletes into the next round after the springboard discipline. Something else that's going to be coming up in 2025 is a documentary film about the Team New Zealand and their road to the World Championships. Here's a quick teaser trailer for you.
I think we've just had a great culture over the years. Got some really good individuals, and together we've always got on really, really well.
You know, real legends of the sport, you know, absolute pioneers of STIHL Timbersports.
Accelerator, brake, come on.
Turn the cameras off, this is embarrassing.
The team always being super close.
They're like a family.
But yeah, they get along really well and yeah, have fun doing it.
Hey, Bobby, where are you?
Australia would be our biggest rival.
2 teams that know each other very well.
To win, you got to put the hard work in at home, and that's what motivates me the most, to want to win, yeah.
On competition day, it's all about focus, getting the job done.
Come on, Shane! Come on, mate! Your corner and go! Come on, mate! Hard! Hard, Shane! Come on, mate!
Kyle Lemon is back in the team. He's our stock sawyer. Jack Jordan, who's our underhand cutter. Bobby Dowling is our single sawyer.
Freeze, mate, freeze!
Shane Jordan as our standing block cutter.
Sorry, mate. Chin up, chin up.
Competing with the Jordan brothers. We don't need to say much about them. Kyle Lemon with a chainsaw in his hand, he's a real legend of the sport.
You're in now, no, you're in!
It's a real privilege to be up on that stage with those 3 men.
Good cut, good cut. Well done. Fuck, that was an awkward handshake.
So as you can see, it is quite the process to get these trees or stands for the springboard in position for this discipline. Still a bit of work to be done. The blocks still need to be placed on top. Now, this is the responsibility of the athlete that will be competing on any given stand. So once the stands are in place, then the next step is for the athlete to bring their block out and secure it to the top of the tree stand. These tree stands were more or less going to stay in position, and the blocks will be changed on top. So yeah, it is quite a process to get this done, and it needs to be done correctly because of the safety of the athletes, because you don't want these things tipping over or anything to be loose or anything like that to have the possibility of something going wrong during the competition. So it's really, really important that these stands are correctly placed and secure for the athlete's safety. Next step is the block on top that the athlete will chop down, and of course, after that, it's competition time. Now, the blocks that these guys will be putting on top are not just chosen by the athletes, they are handed out by raffle, and these blocks all come from specific stands. They are premium competition wood, and let's find out where these come from.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL Timbersports competitions.
The KOA-20 is a battery-powered air compressor from STIHL, ideal for a wide range of jobs, making inflation and deflation quick, easy and convenient for you, whether at home or on the go. Part of the AS system of tools, the KOA-20 is powered by an interchangeable 10.8 volt battery that can also be used with all other tools in the AS system range, such as the ASA-20 secateurs, GTA-26 garden pruner or SEA-20 hand vacuum. The KOA-20 is a 2-in-1 unit, which saves time and effort when inflating and deflating items. It's easy to use and can be used to inflate anything from tyres for your vehicle, ride-on mower or bicycle, to airbeds, footballs and pool accessories. You can also use it to deflate items like the pool inflatables quickly too. The KOA-20 comes with various attachments and nozzles which are conveniently stored on the tool. Plus it comes fitted with the high-quality brass nozzle on the hose for fast and easy connections. The compressor has an ergonomic design with an integrated LED light at the front of the tool for working in low light situations. The tool also has a soft grip handle and rubber feet to keep it stationary whilst it's working. The KOA-20 has a display which is simple to operate and control. By pressing the mode button, you can easily switch between either high pressure or volume function, depending on what you're inflating. With the plus and minus buttons, you can set the selected target pressure to your desired level, and by pressing the unit button, you can display the pressure in bar, PSI or kPa units. You can also activate the LED light by pressing this button. Please note that the KOA-20 has not been designed for use with compressed air tools or to inflate paddle boards. The KOA-20 is available as both a tool only or as a set, which comes with an AS2 battery and AL1 charger. On a fully charged AS2 battery, the KOA-20 has a working time of 15 minutes. Find out more at stihl.co.uk or your nearest STIHL approved dealer.
Okay, so there we see our Springboard lineup of the heats, and we'll get going fairly shortly here. It sounds to me like the boys are getting their blocks on top. So Kim Volke and Peter Eriksson going up first in heat number 1, heat number 2, Kalle Svadling and Pontus Schie. Heat number 3, Edvin Karlsson, Vibjorn Sonsteby, and heat number 4, Ferry Swan and Emil Hansson. World record 35:43 for this discipline. And that was recently broken once again by Walter Page at the US Pro Championship in 2023. Prior to that, it was the 2016 Worlds in Stuttgart, and Sterling Hart held that for quite a long time. So blisteringly fast time for the Springboard. Season's best this year, Springboard with 2 boards, is 1 minute and 9/10 of a second. So, yeah, busy days for these guys to really get up to the top and keep that action going. Kim Volke, you can see there, 2 minutes, 4 seconds, 32 tenths. They do have a time limit of 2 minutes and 30 seconds to get this done. So if they do go over the time limit, there will be a DQ for time exceeded. You can see there are the boards that the guys will be placing into the pockets that they cut. And the optimal pocket is 4 hits, board in, up top, 4 hits, board in, up top, and work the top block. And you can see the blocks have been placed at the top of the stands by our athletes with the help of some of their assistants or team members. Peter Eriksson there, you can see some of his details. Tall guy at 191. Very thin as well, so that bodes well for him on the springboard, as he won't be putting a lot of pressure down on that board. That said, you need to have some pressure in order to have that toe or that tooth lock into your pocket. And that's the other thing, it needs to be absolutely on point. Your pocket needs to be perfect. A little bit of slough or some junk in the pocket, and that can cause the board to slip out or sag, and we'll talk about that as we get along. But saggy boards, no, guys, you don't want that.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
You can see the pocket markings there already. So that's a 9-hit pocket there for Peter Eriksson on the far side. Same for Kim Volke as they get that first board in place. This pocket that they're cutting right now is the critical pocket. This is the one that's going to count for holding that board up in place. Now, Peter Eriksson clearly not happy with the way that first pocket was holding the board, and he's gone down to recut it. And this is where it's going to cause problems. He needs to do a bit of house cleaning in there if he wants that board to stay solid in position, although it looks like it's pretty good now, as Kim Volke has now set his second board. And it's moving a lot. So he's going to go back down, and he'll recut that pocket a lot. He wants to make sure that he is safe up there on that board. I mentioned this earlier on. You don't want to be standing 2 meters above the ground and have that board disappear from under you when you're holding that very sharp instrument in your hands. And this is where a lot of the guys that don't have experience with the springboard have problems. It's because they take a lot of time to get those pockets and those boards set, and then it really takes a ton of time and a lot of your confidence away having to cut that top block. And you can see here Peter Eriksson really struggling to find that purchase for the tongue or the tooth on his springboard. It's just not locking into place there, and he has got to be secure with that thing locking into place. And gingerly testing it to make sure it's okay. He's got a flat board now, but hopefully that thing doesn't sag too much. And we are now passing the 150 mark for both of these guys, as Kim Volke is getting close to being pretty deep on that first side, and we'll switch to that awkward angle to cut from the opposite side. The best situation is to have a solid, nice flat board like you see with Peter Eriksson there, but he has to feel confident enough to step out towards the back of that board with his back foot and really utilize his power off that back leg. Kim Volke, 212.60 as he drops that top block off of the springboard. And so our first block is down, our first time is locked in within that time frame. Let's see if Peter Eriksson can do it. It doesn't look like it's going to happen for him, so it's going to be a DQ for Peter Eriksson exceeding the time limit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a disqualification on stand 3, out of time. However, stand 1 is good.
Okay, so Kim Volke gets his time logged in at 2:12.58. Not quite his best time, but he made it within the limit. And this is the skill about the Springboard. It's getting those pockets set, getting those boards in. A quick pocket and a quick board gives you time on top to really start working that block properly. And neither of these guys had, you know, really good luck with their boards, or at least the way they were feeling. You can see here, Peter really struggled to try and find purchase with that springboard, and the tooth just wasn't taking hold because the pocket was quite too deep and too open at the top, I believe. You can see here, that looks like a pretty decent board there from Kim Volke. Just would have liked to have seen him stand a little bit farther out to the back of the board, and he would have had more power. And here you can see Peter's got to choke up on the axe, but because he's so close to the block, because his board, he just wasn't feeling confident on the board. But that comes with experience and time. Speaking of experience and time, up next, Kalle Swadling and Pontus Schie. Last checks by Pontus Schie as he does a quick walk around.
Okay.
Double checking the placements.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber.
Here going at it.
3, 2, 1, go!
So that's a 7-hit pocket for Pontus Schie. Kalle Swadling coming close to 10 or more hits there. Pontus on his second pocket now. Lost count on Kalle Swadling. Oh no, the board from Pontus Schie fell down with all of the hits going on there to get that second pocket set, and now he's got it and he's up and he's placed it and moving up onto the board. Now look at this here. This is a great angle to see the confidence in that back leg. He can step back towards the back of that board. He's got a deep angle on it. He could go a little bit flatter even if he wanted to, but if the board does sag even a little bit, he's gonna have a perfectly even perpendicular board, and that gives him an opportunity to put more power off of the back leg through his hips into his drivers, and that means he won't get so tired just using his upper body and his shoulders and his waist to try and drive through those hits on the upper block. And we can already see he's switching to that other side on the awkward angle and should have a fairly decent time here. Definitely under the 2-minute mark. We're hoping at least, yep, definitely. So 1:19.17 for Pontus Schie. Kalle Swadling still working on the first side, and Pontus giving him some support as well on the far side. You could see he started saying, yeah, come on, let's go. And Kalle's also got a pretty good board, but you could see he stepped quite far forward on the board and has to choke up on the axe in order to be able to hit properly. And, you know, this is all about that confidence on the board and just feeling the right position of the board and being able to put the power in. 1:51.04, so he's also under the 2-minute mark. And that puts Pontus Schie in the lead, just ahead of Kalle Swadling and Kim Volke.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guns are good.
So ultimately, the objective of these guys is to try and be under a minute and improve on that from event to event. And again, it comes down to the pockets, placement of the board, and confidence on the board. The first pocket, of course it's important, but it's not nearly as important as that second pocket, and getting that second pocket placed correctly and quickly so that you can get that board up and feel good. Now, Kalle Swadling, he got up there, but it was well after Pontus Schie had his second board in place. And as I mentioned, Pontus's second board looked really, really nice. Now Kala's board wasn't that bad either, but the difference is here, Kala stepped forward on the board and he had to choke up on the handle of the axe in order to get his drivers in, and Pontus was able to use his power from his legs, pushing off that back of the board. No matter what anybody tells you, if you're standing on a springy board 2 meters up holding a razor-sharp instrument in your hand, you're going to be nervous. But you have to have a little bit of respect for it, but also use that confidence to be able to really push through and do what these guys do. All right, so there you see how difficult this discipline really is from some of the best athletes in the world. We're talking a very, very, very difficult discipline to become good at, and it's only recently been added to the rookie training, and because it is so dangerous, they have to be very adept with the axe, with the standing block chop first, so that they know that these rookies can go up onto those blocks at 2 meters high, or well, in this case, it would be only 1 meter high for the rookies with one board in, so that they can train to getting up onto those second boards. And those crazy Australians, they're doing 3 boards up in some cases, chopping that top block at their display competitions. So, you know, they're really into something different down there. Next blocks going up for heats 3 and 4. You can see Ferry Swan with his block being set on top and all his screws prepared in there and ready to drive in. Last minute checks for him, and he'll get them put in place. And as I mentioned, it is up to the athletes to place those blocks on top. All right, so while they're doing that, let's talk about what's coming up here. On the 14th and 15th of June, we have the British Championships for men and women. 26th of July, the U.S., or 26th and 27th of July, the U.S. get going with their women's and men's championships. Then on the 3rd of August, we have the French Pro Championships. 16th and 17th of August, we have the Benelux Pro Championships and the European Trophy, which is a very exciting event. That's going to be in the Netherlands. 30th of August, we have the German, Austrian, and Swiss Pro Final in Wildkau, Switzerland. 13th of September, the Australians get going with their Pro Championship. And I got Leon eating a banana in front of me. I don't know what he's thinking, but the 24th and 25th of October, we have the individual and team world championships happening in Milan, Italy. And I hope that banana was good, Leon. So for updates and a full schedule, you can visit data.stihl-timbersports.com for more information. That's data.stihl-timbersports with the S.com. All right, that was quick. Get those blocks up top, and we can get going with our 3rd and 4th heat. Heat number 3 will be Edvin Karlsson going up against Bjorn Sundsteby. And heat number 4, Ferry Swan and Emil Hansen. This is a very important heat for Ferry Swan, but before we get there, let's check out how Edvin Karlsson goes up against Bjorn Sundsteby. And Bjorn, national record holder for Norway with a 57.39, so he can do it in under a minute. Edvin Karlsson has limited experience with the Springboard, having only been in the pro ranks 1 full season. 24 was his first full season, now 25 his second season. You know that this is a discipline that he's been working on to make sure that he is on point where he needs to be for the Springboard. Bjorn Sundsteby, he's been around the sport for a while. He knows the Springboard well, and under a minute is a very good time if you can hold it to that. Again, it's about getting those pockets set and that board placed as quickly as possible. And making sure that you've got the confidence in your board and you feel stable up top there to be able to run and really put the power into that top block. All right, athletes are ready. So here we go with Edvin Karlsson and Vibjorn Sonsteby.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
4-hit pocket for Vibjorn Sonsteby. That's a good start for the Norwegian. Seven hits on that second pocket, not optimal, but he's doing a little house cleaning there to make sure that board sits in position. And he is up onto his second board already. And you can see now that little sag that happened right there actually assisted the tooth in getting locked in place. Edvin Karlsson still working on getting that second pocket set. Something just doesn't feel right for him, and he keeps hammering away. He's got to be sure that he doesn't hammer too much and make that pocket too big and too gappy for the board. But a quick check of the board, and he is up there, and that board is, it's sagging a little bit. Does he feel okay with it, though? Is the tooth taking purchase? It seems to be. Meanwhile, Vibjorn Sonsteby has passed the minute mark, and he's on that second side of his block, and he takes it down in 1:03.62, so he didn't make it in under a minute, and that means the wood is cutting consistently for everybody here today. So that tells you a lot about how fair the wood actually is. Edvin Karlsson, meanwhile, is working on that first side, found some confidence in that board, even though it took him a while to really gingerly test the purchase of that tooth inside his pocket that he cut. He's trying to get deep on that first side. Remember, they have to cut from both sides, and if they go super, super deep and only take one cut on the backside, hey, that's fine, as long as they cut from both sides. And right now you can see that is splitting quite badly, and it's catching the handle of his axe every time. And that's causing problems because the whole thing gets stuck in there. And that's really an issue of time now for him, but he has done it in under 2 minutes at 1:58.41. Surely not going to be happy with that because he has done better before.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guns are good.
All right, so far, Vibjorn Sonsteby with the fastest time of the day at 1:03.38. Pontus Schio holding second place right now with Kalle Svadling rounding out the top three in Springboard with one more heat to go. And you can see here, it's a beautiful 4-hit pocket for Vibjorn Sonsteby. That was about as good as it gets to get that board in place and get up there. Took him about 7 hits to get that second pocket set. Meanwhile, Edvin Karlsson struggling a little bit to find that clean pocket, doing a little house cleaning each time with his fingers, which is fully okay. But you can see here, this is a really nice board, actually. If he could have that board in the second position, he would have been on top of the world, literally. You can see there, Vibjorn Sonsteby, he's got himself a solid board. The spring action works. He can step back fairly far back on the board and really utilize that back leg. Edvin, he got up on this board. He did a couple of little gingerly hops to make sure that that tooth was really taking purchase and gripping so that he felt confident enough to grab that axe out of the block and start cutting. And meanwhile, while he was testing, Vibjorn Sonsteby was getting through the backside of his block here, and he managed to take the block and the axe all down together. And here you can see that split really caused problems for Edvin because every time he went to cut through that last little piece, the axe handle actually got caught between the two pieces of wood, and that just killed his time badly. All right, final heat before we do our final elimination to find out the top 6 that will go on to the hot saw, and this heat is Ferry Swan against Emil Hansen. Ferry Swan holding the national record of 46.71. Emil Hansen with a 47.22. Both of these guys really on point with this discipline. But more than anything, Ferry Swan needs this one to work perfectly. He needs these points. He needs 16 points out of this to climb the rankings a little bit and get himself in the mix for that hot saw. You can see Ferry Swan has got himself some very modern springboards there, specifically custom made for him.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Four-hit pocket for Ferry Swan. He's got that board in there right away. He doesn't care about that bottom board. As long as it holds a little bit, he just wants to get that second board in place. Emil Hansen right there, getting his second board in slightly ahead of Ferry Swan. He's up, and he is ready to go on that top block. Ferry Swan, knowing that he's got some desperation in him to get through and start working on that top block. That board is sitting nicely, and he is going for it on that top block. Both of these guys feeling supremely confident here with the cut. Emil Hansen a little bit closer to the block, but he's farther ahead as he moves over to that awkward angle. Is he going to be faster than Ferry Swan? Ferry Swan switches to the backside as well now. It's going to be Emil Hansen with a great time of 48.86, and Ferry Swan with a 51.14. Both of them good times, putting them in the top two positions. Will it be enough for Ferry Swan? It should be. He'll get into the hot saw, and that is the make or break discipline for these guys. So let's see how this is going to affect the overall standings, because Ferry Swan was sitting in 6th place after the single buck with a disqualification because of a jump start. And so he really, really, really needed these points here. He'll get 14 points out of this one if everything is okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Good.
All right, so that means good things for Ferry Swan. That should put him up among the top 4 at the very least as they move towards the elimination round here, which means he should be safe. Taking a look back here, Ferry Swan had a beautiful 4-hit pocket. Didn't necessarily care whether or not this was a perfect pocket. He just needed that board to hold in place so he could get up and set that second pocket. Emil Hansen right there with him as he got that second pocket and that second board set a little bit ahead of Ferry Swan. Actually, he was faster up. You can see a readjustment there by Ferry Swan caused a little bit of time delay, and actually Emil Hansen's foot was pretty far back on that board. Comparatively speaking to Ferry Swan's, they were similar, and both of these guys just went for it, but Emil Hansen was just a little faster, switching over to that awkward angle backside chop, and got through the block ahead of Ferry Swan by 2.20 seconds. It ain't much though, it's a couple of drivers there, and you can see there 1 and 2, and that was it. So let's take a look at Springboard. Emil Hansen, the top of the block there, with a season's best, 48.64. Ferry Swan with a 58.4 in second place for Bjorn Sonsteby in third. Looking good for him in this competition as well, as we now look at the overall rankings and who the 6 will be that are going to be moving on to the final and our hot saw discipline. So Kim Wolke and Peter Eriksson will be eliminated from competition today, and that leaves Emil Hansen, Bjorn Sonsteby, Pontus Schia, Ferry Swan, Kalle Svadling, and Edvin Karlsson to move on to the hot saw. Now, Ferry Swan is currently sitting in 4th place with 45 points, with Emil Hansen well above everybody at 66 points. So he needs to have the perfect hot saw, and that doesn't bode well for him because he blew up his hot saw prior to coming to the competition and had to go back home and get his backup hot saw. He blew the crankcase, he told me earlier on, so he's using a different hot saw than what he has been training on. He only had a chance to turn it on, warm it up, power it up, and rev it up a little bit today. And it's going to be interesting to see how that affects Ferry Swan's final here in this hot saw discipline. But it is the make or break discipline, and theoretically, anything can happen here.
specialbyggda motorsåg exploderade igår. Så han fick åka hem och hämta sin andra specialbyggda såg.
So as the stage crew clean up and get the tree stands down from the stage, our athletes will get themselves ready backstage, and we'll get a couple of hot saw warm-up pictures for you just to give you the slightest example of how beastly these tools are. They are absolute monsters. We talked about the stock saw earlier on. No changes to the bar, no changes to the chain, no changes to the motor, nothing. This is the same saw that you can buy from a STIHL dealership. Well, in stark contrast to the hot saw, or the stock saw, the hot saw is a full custom motorcycle engine to cut trees with. It's an unbelievable tool. It's absolutely outstandingly loud. It's massively powerful. It cuts through these blocks like butter, and it is a bear to control. And that's what's coming up next, is our hot saw. And you can see here right now is Edvin Karlsson, I believe. Nope. That would be Pontus getting ready with his. These are all custom machines. They'll have custom triggers, custom exhausts, custom bodies. Motors have been tuned. Some have the straight Forester bar. Some have these big bulbous bars. I know what my favorite is, but everybody's got their own particular choices. And almost all of these guys that are going to be competing in this discipline will have spike shoes on, because you need as much grip as you can possibly have on the ground. A couple of the boys coming from this paddocks area back here to head over and warm up their saws. So we might get our first flavor here. You can see those two big bars on those saws. These are my favorite bars here. They're a little bit fatter through the middle, and for me, you're less likely to bind on the wood with these, and the chain is less likely to hop off like they are with the Forester bar, the straight long bar. But everybody's got their own setup, and depending on, you know, how you feel comfortable and what kind of a setup you feel comfortable with is all that really matters. So what these guys will do now is they'll start these saws up, and I basically can't say anything while these things are warming up because they are insanely loud. And there's two basic types of motors that these guys are using. There's a Rotax motor and the Wankel motor. It's a funny name, Wankel. You say it enough times and it sounds funny. But you can tell the difference in the noise that they make and how growly or throaty the motor sounds. The Wankel is generally a little bit deeper, thicker sounding, and the Rotax is a little bit higher pitched and more like a freestyle motocross engine. I feel bad for Ferry Swan having to go back and get an older saw of his that he hasn't used in a while because he had a new saw made. But, you know, that's the name of the game. You've got to be able to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And, you know, if anybody can do it, it's Ferry Swan. He's had success with this saw before, but these guys are always looking for the little advantages. And you can see just how beastly these things are.
Jag är klar med den här Pontan. När jag är klar med den här, då sopar jag ner rälterna. Sen tar det kvart. Det är ballt ljud. Varför finns det inga yxor att låna? Det gör väl någon som säljer.
And it is definitely not like going to the gas station and just throwing some fuel in there. These fuels that they use are specially formulated for high performance, high burn. They have special oils that they put in there in order to facilitate the chain. They have sprays that they put into the carburetor to make sure that the airflow is getting through cleanly. It is a procedure. It's almost like having a drag racing car. That's essentially what it is, and you can hear them starting up in the background. It's almost impossible to hear anything with these machines running. So that sounded like a Wankel motor. Deep, throaty growl. Let's see if anybody's got a Rotax going here. So that was Edvin Karlsson warming up his. Kalle Svadling stepping into the spot now to get his started. Love the sound of those motors. All right, well, these guys get their stuff warmed up in the background here. We are going to show you what this discipline is all about and what the tool is all about. But you've seen the tools, and now let's look at it a little bit more officially here.
These custom, handmade race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder two-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
You can see how much these saws are kicking each time they pull on that trigger. It is an unbelievably powerful piece of equipment, and these guys have to be take extra care with the safety aspects, but once all of these saws are warmed up, we'll get our first heats on stage. I believe the stage is already good to go. You can see these are also cold start engines, so for lack of a better description, the engines get warmed up briefly, but then they're turned off, and the wrap cords are put around the starter again, and once the go is given during competition, they have to start it from a dead stop, cut 3 cookies. The cookies have to be cut from within this 15 centimeter gap, and they have to be complete before hitting the deck. And that's the only way that these will count. In a situation like this is what's happening right now is you pull that one time, you have a bit of a problem with the start. Bjorn Sonsteby had a struggle to get that thing started, but you can hear how it's a little bit of a higher pitch sound. This sounds like it's a Rotax motor. chain on Bjorn Sonsteby. As you could see it lift away from the bar as he powered through that throttle procedure. I mean, that's the power that's there. These chains are tight on there, and they stretch when that motor really starts to, you know, crank around. It's unbelievable the power that these machines have, and we're going to get our first athletes heading over to the stage area now as we'll get set for the hot saw discipline. It is otherwise known as the maker or the breaker. You could win a competition in hot saw, you can lose a competition in hot saw. And right now, Edvin Karlsson, Kalle Swadling, Ferry Swan, Pontus Schia, Bjorn Sonsteby, and Emil Hansen will be the top 6 competing in the hot saw. Ferry Swan dead middle in that group, and he has to have the perfect hot saw today in order for him to have any chance of winning this competition and competing on behalf of Sweden at the World Championships. Right now, Emil Hansen has all the advantage in the world, and it's his to lose. All right, so far, all athlete saws have been quick tested and warmed up in the back area at the paddocks. As we take a look at our start list for hot saw heat 1, Edvin Karlsson going up against Kalle Swadling, Ferry Swan against Pontus Schia in heat 2, and Bjorn Sonsteby and Emil Hansen in heat number 3. Again, it's not about elimination here. It's about getting the fastest possible time and the most points available. And there are 18 points up for grab for the athlete that gets the fastest time in hot saw. And there are a couple of guys that could desperately use those 18 points. Edvin Karlsson, personal best in hot saw, 9.51. Not too long ago, that was pretty close to, or actually a few years ago, that was a world record. Now, the world record is 4.62 seconds. Unbelievable speed. Hot saw season's best this year, 6.17. Kalle Swadling's best time, 5.79. So he is definitely in the mix. Key here is to make sure that you get a clean set of discs, and that is something to be said when you're controlling a beast of this nature. So last marks by Bart Janssen on the block to measure the 15 centimeters within which the guys will have to cut their 3 cookies. The Lexon shields are in place. You can barely see them from this angle because the camera angle goes straight on, but there are Lexon shields there in front and behind each of our 2 athletes, just in case. You never know what's going to fly away, and we don't want anybody getting injured.
Okay, gentlemen.
And here we go.
Warm up your saw.
Damn, those are loud. Unbelievable power in these machines. Last minute preparations. You'll see a lot of guys finger and thumb. You just saw that right there. Edvin Karlsson, double checking everything. 35 to 40 kilos. I've lifted one of these saws. I'm not a weak individual, and these are very, very heavy. And I can't even imagine controlling them while they're running, and all of the internal parts and the centrifugal forces are at play. It is a skill, and to watch is an absolute amazing thing. Now, once these are started, it's going to go so fast. Don't blink, folks, or you'll miss it. And basically, I can't say anything because you won't hear me anyway. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1. go!
All right, great cut for Kalle Swadling, 7.49. Edvin Karlsson stays consistent in a 9.96, a little bit slower than what he's used to cutting, and a 9.51 and his personal best. Checking the cookies and the distance across that line, and we might have a cut line by Edvin Karlsson. I certainly hope not, but we will see. We'll take a look at the slow-mos in a second just to get a little bit deeper into their cuts.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so we have good cuts. It's official, 9.78 for Edvin Karlsson. Kalle Swadling with a 7.48. Let's take a look back here at the slow-mos, and we'll get a better idea of how these cuts went down. So you can see here, Edvin Karlsson takes a moment. He sets that saw. Meanwhile, while he's setting that saw, Kalle Swadling's already cutting through into his second cut. And there's that third cookie for Kalle Swadling. And now Edvin Karlsson came real close to that line to get that third cookie in place, but he was a fair cut. And so he's got himself points on the board. Right now, Kalle Swadling with the time to beat of 7.48 holds the 18 points, but it could well be taken away from him by one of these two men. Let's find out. Ferry Swan holds the national record at 4.75. Pontus Schie has a 6.45 personal best. Ferry Swan is definitely going to be motivated to get the full 18 points out of this competition here today because he wants to represent Sweden at the Worlds. But right now, there's one man in his way, and that's Emil Hansson. If I look at the overall rankings here, really there's only one guy who could theoretically take that top spot from Emil Hansson. That's Vebjorn Sundsteby. But then for Vebjorn, it doesn't make a difference because he is competing on behalf of Norway. Interesting. So again, coming down to last-minute preparations, everything's got to be tickety-boo for these guys in order for it to run smooth. They've all had a chance to run their saws in the back paddocks, and now they'll get a second chance to run their saws up front. Warm it up. Make sure that carbon's blown out and the engine is ready to go.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
And this is a practice routine. They've gone through it so many times. They know exactly what they need to do in order to make sure that these saws are going to do exactly what they want them to do.
"30 seconds.
Safety line hooked up for both.
Athletes ready.
Time to beat.
Stand to your timber.
7.48 seconds. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, fantastic cut for Ferry Swan, 5.51. He tagged that last cookie on its way out. Hopefully that won't be an incomplete cookie for him. And Pontus Schie having a lot of problems getting his started. He's got to rewrap, and that's killing his time right now. He's got one more chance to get that thing started and get it going to make his cuts. Oh, no! It's gone down on him again. It is not starting. I wonder what's happened here. There's no chance for Pontus Shia at this point. Here we go. He's got it going. And he just wants to get 3 cookies on the deck so he gets the points and not a DQ. And he has them 49.76 seconds. Oh, that is an unfortunate situation for Pontus Shia. But Ferry Swan, wow, he was motivated. 5.45 seconds. That puts him in second place right now behind Emil Hansen. So really, Emil Hansen is going to be the man representing with one more heat to go here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always the hot saw. Both girls are good.
So, of course, these are all taken into consideration for the European ranking. And over the season results, so we'll see. Everything plays a role. In this competition, though, pretty safe that Emil Hansen with 66 solid points is going to be the winner of the Nordic Championship. But that remains to be seen here, as there are still 2 guys to cut, Vebjorn Sonsteby and Emil Hansen. So Emil Hansen, if he has a clean cut, he'll take this one down. So final heat coming out on to the deck right now. And that is Vebjorn Sonsteby from Norway. Personal best for a hot saw, 6.50. And of course, Emil Hansen, his personal best, 5.44. So Ferry Swan had a 5.45 just now. These guys have just been butting heads all day long. Ferry Swan having problems with his single buck, and that caused problems for him.
Warm up your saw.
Vebjorn Sonsteby cooking off some of that oil on that bar where the chain rotates around.
30
smoking
seconds.
Like mad.
Athletes ready.
Time to beat.
Stand
5:45.
to your timber.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good cuts by both of these guys. But Emil Hansen's got to go back and cut a 4th disc because he had a cutout, I believe. And question is, will he have a clean 3 cookies on the deck that will count? So Vebjorn Sonsteby gets the thumbs up, and now quick check there by Victor Klarmo. Looks like he might be okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
So 10.88 seconds for Emil Hansen. That puts him in 5th place, but that still gives him enough points to win the overall title here at the Nordic Championships. Let's take one more look at this cut. Vebjorn Sonsteby floats for a second, then begins his cut. A little bit thick on that second cookie, but he lined it up nicely on the 3rd cookie. Boy, he was close to the line there. And you could see Emil Hansson had 3 on the deck, but he had to go back and cut a 4th cookie because of a cutout, I believe. I didn't really see a proper cutout there. Maybe he saw something that we didn't. Clearly, he thought he needed to do it. So there you go. Hot Saw won by Ferry Swan, but it wasn't quite enough. It was a little bit too little too late for Bjorn Sonsteby. 2nd place, Kalle Svadling 3rd place, and we'll take a look how that affects the overall standings. But pretty clear today, your winner is going to be Emil Hansson, once again, your Swedish champion. There you go. So Emil Hansson on top of the box today with 72 points. But Bjorn Sonsteby, great job coming out here to the Nordics and getting 66 points in the silver medal position. And Ferry Swan coming from a bit of a bitter situation after the single buck and managing to end the day with 63 points in the 3rd position and the bronze medal. So they'll take a few minutes now and set up for the awards ceremony.
Ja, är ni nöjda med dagens tillställning? Tycker ni att de skötte sig eller? Ja, där ska jag ta ut kropparna, jag hör vad ni säger. Tycker ni att de skötte sig eller? Ja, det gör jag.
All right, it looks like we are ready to proceed with the awards ceremony, and as is traditional for these award ceremonies, I believe we'll bring each of the athletes up on stage one by one from 9th all the way up until 4th place. Then we will bring up our top 3 athletes. So it looks like we've got everybody collected in the athletes' tent there.
Så, jag tänker att vi börjar med att kalla upp domarna på scenen först och så ger vi dem en stor applåd. The judges, first up on stage.
So we're going to bring the judges back up onto the stage as a quick thank you, and Victor Klarmo and Bart Janssen coming up onto stage. They'll be present for the awards ceremony as we'll start to bring up all our athletes. So, and we'll bring them up from 9th on up until 4th place, and then we'll introduce our top 3 guys. Adam Björns coming out first. And next up, Peter Eriksson. There he is. Next up, Kim Volke. Then we have Edvin Karlsson, who looked so good off the stop and stayed pretty consistent throughout the day. We're going to see good things from him down the road. Then we have Pontus Schia. And in fourth place, Kalle Swadling. The single saw specialist really showed his skills in that discipline. Absolutely fantastic. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our top three in third place, coming back from a bit of a deficit in the single saw, Ferry Swan taking the bronze medal here today. And in second place, it is Vebjørn Sonsteby from Norway. Great job by him today. Fantastic turnout. And that's hot saw in the end. Nice. And our winner today, he's been there before. He's been in a couple of these positions before. It is Emil Hansson. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your podium. Ferry Swan, Vebjørn Sonsteby, and Emil Hansson. So big congratulations to all the guys. The points and their times calculated today go into the European rankings, and then we'll see who will be representing at the World Championships. I have a feeling, however, it is going to be Emil Hansson this year.
All good. Okej, då får du prova engelskan lite där då. Vill du köra på svenska? Så översätter jag. Okej. Berätta om dagens tävling. Vad tycker du?
Jag hade ju en knackig start i första grenen, men sen lyckades jag få till det lite bättre i resten, så jag är nöjd.
After a bit rocky start, he really got the flow, so he's happy with this competition.
Ja, precis.
Yeah, that's right. Great, everyone. Now we can get your shot.
I love the translation. It was fantastic. Yeah, that's right. Amazing. All right, there you go. Three guys definitely deserving of being on the podium. A great comeback in the last two disciplines from Ferry Swan after a rough single saw. Vebjørn Sonsteby, he's been consistent throughout the entire day. And Emil Hansson, well, what can you say about Emil Hansson? What a fantastic athlete he is. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope you guys enjoyed this show and will join us when the time comes for the World Championships in Milan. Bye, everyone.